You're on the air live with Tonya. What's your name?
It's Jessica again.
Welcome in. So, what is your comment here today, Jessica?
Hi. So I'm calling just obviously, as you can tell, I'm from the UK. I could probably give you an insight as to the dynamics that are going on over here. I can see you were saying that the dust is blowing in from America. Um, to be honest, I think that tensions between black men and black women have been going on for a while now. It's not something that's recent, and it's moving over with the movement of the manosphere, um, channels that are blowing a lot bigger, like Kevin Samuels. It's something that's already been here before that, and people can just relate, and that's why the experiences seem so similar.
Okay. Are you a black woman?
I'm mixed race,
Okay.
half
You're
black,
mixed.
half white.
Okay, half black, half white. And so, what is your experience dating in the United Kingdom?
I haven't had a problem myself dating in the United Kingdom. I can see the different dynamics that go on with the different black ethnic groups that we have in the UK. So you're going to see contrast between Caribbean men and African men, particularly Jamaican men from the Caribbean versus African men, completely different cultures. So when women speak about Caribbean men dating out a lot, yes, they do. African men, if you look, they date out least of any group. So less than Indians, less than Asians, less than white, less than any other group, they date out the least. So
Okay.
black African men are actually very race loyal. They
Okay.
don't date
So,
out.
question. You said that you feel that the dust has existed long before these channels and the manosphere has become popular. What do you think is resonating with men in the UK about this manospheric message?
Just that it's exactly the same experience. So when they're talking about that they feel women lack femininity, guys here are going to say the same thing. When it comes to them dealing with women who they feel like are entitled, they're going to think the same thing as American men. So
What
that's what's
why?
going on. That's
Why?
the
That's the thing that's a curious point. Why?
why, because I honestly believe that there is a certain amount of that in society when it comes to women. You played the clip earlier where you had Chris Predi, OBE. I'm not sure if you know his history, but he is a guy that has done a lot of good work within the community here in London. I won't get too much into his backstory, but he is the cousin of two notorious murderers, two guys who murdered a 10-year-old boy. He had the stigma of having their name, and he grew up in gang culture. And he has done so much work when it comes to shining a light on the problems that are plaguing the young black community over here. And so much so that he got an OBE for that. OBE is a special award that is given by the Queen over here. So he has that. But he was speaking about the woman that came on, and she had no teeth. She looked like
Mm-hmm.
she was on some sort of illegal substance, but she put her teeth in. She could put the makeup on, and act like she's a 10. Now we know that as women, if you went out on a date with a guy, and you got back to your house and he took his teeth out, he took off his man toupee, man weave, whatever you call it, put it down on the side of the bed, um, and just looked like a completely different person, we'd have a problem with that. And men are going to have a problem with that as well. So I don't think he should be labeled dusty for having a problem with a woman who's doing that. You should actually be able to understand where he's coming from.
Yeah, no, his video was attached to the video that was playing before it because he was responding to that video. But when we listened to what it is that he had to say, he was telling men, I translated for people who had a difficult time understanding his accent. But yeah, so are you going to speak about the first guy who was leaving that F modern women and all of that? Because the second guy, I don't know him. I don't know either of them. But the second guy seemed like he had more, I don't know, he was a little more cohesive than the first guy. So, what are your comments about
Yeah.
that attitude? F modern women are masculine, and they are narcissistic, and men who want to be with them are beta men, and all of that other stuff. What is your thought on that?
Okay, so with him, I think mainly his comments were stemming from frustration. I did think he took it too far with the, women are psychopathic, they're narcissistic, and sometimes people just throw these words around, not realizing that they're actual mental conditions, and we're just, overusing the terms, especially narcissistic. So I think that was too far. But when he speaks about entitlement, he has a point when it comes to women being entitled, women who may not necessarily be the best versions of themselves, demanding somebody else be the best version of themselves. And I'm like, you get what you put out into society. If you want the best men, the top version of men, you have to be the best woman. You have to be the top version of women. That's how you get the best men. You can't just demand it. And if you demand it and somebody doesn't want to give that to you, then they're dusty.
Okay. So you're saying that there is a top version of a person that they need to be in order to be able to get the top version of the opposite sex.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
If
And
you look,
so I'm confused as to how you gleaned that from his video. How did you glean him saying top version of yourself? Because what I did hear him say was, fuck modern day women. They're narcissistic, they're entitled, fuck them and fuck this. And I'm confused as to how you gleaned your talking points from his tirade.
okay, so what I got from his tirade was when he was talking about modern women essentially being spoilt brats. Spoilt brats are people who want what they want, they're entitled, they're used to getting what they want, and they demand what they want. That's a
You
spoilt
feel
brat.
that
And
you
so
feel
that's
that
where I
that you
tied.
I'm sorry. You feel that a person who has demands and demands to get what it is that they want is a spoiled brat.
Well, you can have your demands, and that's fine, but do your demands match up with what you're willing to give?
Okay.
You can make your demands, but at the same time, you're demanding something from somebody else. And so as soon as you're dealing with a separate entity, another person, you have to take in mind and bear in mind what that person wants. So
Okay.
when you're making your demands, the person that you're demanding from, are they willing to give to you? And that's the big
Okay.
disconnect because you,
So I'm trying to figure out where the spoiled brat part comes in, because a person can have a demand, and if a person is not willing to give them what it is that they're demanding, how does that make the person spoiled if one person is just not a good fit for them? Where does the spoiledness come in?
okay, so the spoilt brat comes in when, imagine a child that's used to getting what they want and they're told no. What do? They throw a temper tantrum. They get upset. They go on a bit of a tirade. And so that's where the spoilt brat thing comes into it. So you can have a woman who will demand something from a man. A man says, listen, I'm not dealing with you, or he's willing to give her less, and then she may go on a tirade and explain how dusty he is, how, all of these different terms.
Okay.
And that's
Okay.
like the spoilt brat like
So
behavior I feel he's talking about.
let me just reiterate this back to you. So it sounds like you're saying that the spoiled brat part comes in when a woman who is used to a certain treatment goes and is faced with a man who refuses to give her this treatment, and she then lambasts him or goes off on him, calls him dusty, etc., because she's used to a certain treatment, he won't give it to her, and then she lashes out. So that's what you're saying?
Yeah, either she's used to it or she simply desires it.
Well, hold on, because the example that you gave was of a child who is used to a certain treatment, this is what you said, that when you
Hmm.
started giving your explanation, and you can rewind the video and listen to that again if you'd like to, you were saying that the child is used to a certain treatment so that when they don't get that treatment, then they lash out and go on a tirade. So I'm confused as to where the main issue is the issue that they lash out, or is the issue that they have these demands? What is the issue?
I think the issue mainly is the demand.
So you
Lashing
think
out is
the
simply
issue
a
is the
byproduct
demand?
of
Okay.
the
What do
demand.
you think, is the demand that is unrealistic or unreasonable?
Okay, for an average woman to say that she wants a guy who makes six figures.
Okay, what is your definition of average?
An average woman is a woman who might be a five, on
I'm sorry, I
a
don't
look scale.
understand. I don't understand calling human beings numbers. I'm not sure where we're getting that from. Giving people numbers as if we're in Auschwitz. I don't understand that.
Yeah, some people don't like it, but we all do it.
No, I don't.
When you
I
were
don't
looking at the
understand.
man
Who? I'm
earlier,
sorry. I'm sorry.
and
My dear, my dear. I want to understand. So you said a person who is a five, but where did this number five come from? Where's that five? Who
it
assigned this five?
it comes from how we rank somebody else's appearance.
Who? Who?
Well, people,
Who are
earlier
these
on when you were
people?
listening to the man
I'm sorry.
yourself,
If you could
when you were
answer that
listening,
question. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Who are these people that
I'm
are
I'm
giving these numbers?
I'm trying to. So the reason that we have the numbers is because we rank other people's appearance. When you were looking at the clip of the man who was speaking earlier, you spoke about how yellow his teeth were,
Mm-hmm.
and how his breath must stink and all of these different things. You're critiquing his appearance. We all do it. That's human nature. We critique people's appearances and we say, I'd want to deal with that person
Okay,
or
but
I
I'm
wouldn't.
right. But the number, if you could answer the question, where is this number coming from? Who assigned this number? Did you hear? Because
Again,
you
I
brought this up. Did you hear me give this man a number because you're talking about me? Did you hear me give him a number?
no, but it comes from the very thing that you did, which is critique his appearance.
Okay,
You
so
critique people's appearances,
the
right?
number is a critique then.
Yeah, the number is a critique.
According to whose scale? Because five is five ones, four plus one, two plus three. Those are standards. It's scientific. Where are these numbers for human beings coming from? That's the thing that's confusing to me. By whose scientific scale?
By yours, by
By
mine,
whose?
by each person as an individual.
Okay, so this is what I'm hearing. A human being can consider another person to be a quote unquote five. However,
Yes,
another human
and
being can consider that person to be a 10, correct?
of course,
So then that means that there is no science. So it is moot to try to give a human being a number because the number is arbitrary and not scientific at all. Is that what you're saying?
no, but what we see a lot when we're talking about society and societal dynamics, a lot of the time it's not running off of hard science. Okay, we're
Okay.
people and biology runs off of hard science, but human psychology doesn't always run off of hard science.
Okay, I'd like for you to
So no, it's not hard
name a
science.
person who is a five that's famous so that we can be able to see what it is that you are considering a quote unquote five, because you can only speak from your point of view by some ranking that you've come up with in your head, and there's no science to that. So when we start talking about we, you, all of us, you can really only talk about yourself, right?
No, there have been scientific studies done into the science of beauty. That's
Yes,
how
hold
we've
on there.
got things like the
Hold
golden
on. You're not
ratio.
answering the question. And yes, and you know what? Listen, I love to do research and I love to study. Yes, there has been a study that was done, or some sort of research that was done into what makes a person in a certain society considered to be beautiful, and it talked about symmetry and things of those nature and things of that nature. I'm
Mhm.
asking you to name a person that is famous that you consider to be a five, because your point of view is specific to you. There is no across the board science that states that one person is a irrefutable across all levels going to be a five. There's no study that says that. So
No,
tell
there
us,
isn't.
right? So please tell us a famous person. I'm going to Google the person now that you consider to be a five, so that we can see what you're talking about. Go ahead. I'm ready.
We can take the guy that was on earlier, Chris Predi. He'd be a five in my opinion.
Okay, so you would consider him to be a five. Can you name a woman
Yes.
who is a five, so that we can kind of be on, because you're talking about women who you're saying are entitled because they are, in your opinion, a five, and wanting things that you feel that their looks, we're just talking about looks, not personality, looks five.
Mhm.
Okay, so please name a
Okay, let
woman.
me try and think of a woman. Usually women in the public eye tend to be higher than a five. So it's harder to
So
think of
you do
somebody that's
not
a
have the
five.
ability to name a woman that you think is a five, that's famous, that
Not
we can
necessarily that
Google.
you'd know. No, not that's internationally famous, like we
I
both
mean, I
know.
have Google. Google can pull up anybody.
I'm talking about like personally, people that I know, I could name you a five. But when we're talking about people in the spotlight that you'd be able to Google, it's harder because women usually are above a five when they're in the entertainment industry.
Okay, so what you're saying is that you do not have the ability to give us an example of a woman that you consider to be a five that we can Google, so that we can understand your point. So what we can do is just imagine then what a five
Yeah,
is
somebody
to each of us, right? And so
Rebel Wilson would be a five.
okay, so Rebel Wilson. So let me Google her real quick so that we can see Rebel
Post
Wilson.
post weight loss.
Okay, so let's pull up some images of Rebel. I'm going to just let me switch over the feed real quick. Okay, so this is Rebel Wilson right here. If you all remember her from, let me move my thing. If you all remember her from, she's done movies. So this is her, and this is who the woman on the phone is calling a five. So you're saying that she does not deserve to have her demands be satisfied and fulfilled because she's a five. Is that what you're saying?
No, and this is the thing. I said everybody is entitled to have their standards, their desires, and what they want from another person. You're completely entitled to that. But I'm saying we have to keep in
Okay.
mind how realistic it is that we will get the things that
Okay.
we
So
want.
so then
If
let's
I
take a
limit
look. Hold on, hold on,
myself,
hold on, hold on, hold on. I just we have to go slowly because there's a lot that you want to say. So I wouldn't just want to get us on the same page. So this is Rebel
mhm,
Wilson's boyfriend, it says here. These are her boyfriends. Handsome, wealthy, well-dressed, beautiful looking men that this five is, or your five is pulling in. Okay. So I think we can close this screen now. So let's continue. So you were saying that the entitlement of women who are considered fives, right,
mhm.
is that they should not have these demands because they don't deserve to have them met. Is that what you're saying?
No, I said how realistic is it that they will be met? That's the thing
Okay.
that you have to keep in mind. How realistic is it that you're going to get your standards? So if I said that I want a guy who is 6'2" plus, he has to make seven figures. I want him to be black. I want him, and I start going into these specifics. We go into how many men actually fit that criteria, and then do I, as a woman, meet up with what they want? So there are two different dynamics that are going on. One, how many of those people exist?
Mm-hmm.
And two, what do those people who exist, what do they want when it comes to their desires? There has to be a matchup of desires, and that's where we're sort of clashing. If you have 80%, if you have 80% of women who are all seeking one thing from the men, but only 20% of men meet that criteria, 60% of women are not going to get that man. They're not.
Okay.
It's impossible for 80% of
So, you know
women
what?
to get that
Listen,
man.
I agree with what it is that you're saying. I agree with the theory of what it is that you're saying. However, when you look at a human being the sum of their parts, is a person going to be able to, there's a lot of different things going on at the same time here. One, there's how the person looks. Two, there's the person's personality. Three, there's the person's life path and spiritual, and where it is that they're going spiritually, where it is that they are energetically, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if we are going to focus on what a person looks like on the outside, right? we negate we negate their personality, we negate their unique energetic thumbprint and blueprint on this earth that has a life path that is outside of what anybody on the internet, on any platform, sitting in a dark room, shrouding over in the lurches. It negates any of that because human beings, our existence is complex. When we start trying to
Mm-hmm.
minimize people and put them in these configurations, these arbitrary configurations, and start trying to tell people who it is that they are and what it is that they're going to get, not get, or what's unrealistic or realistic for them, we negate the fact that we are spirits having a human experience. And that all of this stuff on the outside, it's a matter of DNA, of sperm and egg that came together in a woman's womb and brought us out into a society that has beauty standards that are here today and could be gone tomorrow. So it's
Yeah.
like if you look at period pieces, if you look at the art from the Renaissance and the plumpness of the women that existed back then, right? And then you look at how styles have changed and what was once considered beautiful. And if you look at how beauty has changed throughout the ages, if you look at what was beautiful in China or in Asia, and how in the shogun days they used to blacken the teeth of the geisha because that was considered beautiful. You walk up to somebody right now with some black ass teeth that they're not real. I don't know how that's going to go over in our society today. As you saw, that man with the yellow teeth was they didn't really like that. So I am part of the reason that I don't agree with the whole giving people numbers thing is because who are you to give anyone a number? Who am I to give anyone a number? Can I remark on whether or not a person's teeth look yellow? And I didn't say his breath looked like it stank. I just said I asked people what they thought it smelled like. I thought it smelled like Marlboro or Camel. But that is my individual assessment about one portion of a person. But where is the science of what a person can and cannot get? When we looked at Rebel Wilson, who you consider to be a 5, we pulled up the men that she's alongside, and quote unquote 5 and all, the woman has men who are banging.
Mm-hmm. So the physical aspect of it is one aspect. Okay, so physicality is the initial thing that draws us to a person. When we don't know a person's character, we don't know anything else, we're basing people just off of their aesthetic, right? How they look. And people can say it's superficial, it's shallow. We all do it. And if we say that we don't, you'd be a liar. We all judge people off of their appearance. Okay, that's how we
Yeah, hold on.
differentiate who is who
I
in
just want to add
society.
this in. I just need to add this in because I see you speaking in absolutes and also speaking wide and across the board, right? We don't
I'm not
all give,
speaking.
listen, hold on, my dear. We don't all give people numbers. That's the part that's unrealistic. Whether or not a person sees a person and says, well, you know what, I'm not attracted to that, that's different than trying to assign a numeric value to a human being. That's different.
So, okay, you may see somebody and you might not say, okay, he gets a 5, he gets a 9, he gets a 3. But you look at somebody and you say, no, I couldn't go there. That's when you're giving somebody around a 3 on a ranking. When you say, they look all right, they're okay. That's somebody that's average. You're giving them maybe like a 5 to a 6. When you're like, oh, he's hot, and you have that large physical attraction to a person, that's when you're ranking somebody up in the 8s and the 9s. So we might not assign a number, however, we are putting somebody on a scale of attraction. And that's simply what the numbers are. You're rating somebody on the scale of attraction, how attracted you are to them. And of course, when you were speaking about a person's character, of course, physicality isn't the only thing that attracts us to a person. One thing I'll always say is the way that a more average woman can get a one-up on, a prettier woman is through her character, is by her personality and what else she can bring to that apart from looks. You'll be surprised. Men would rather be with a woman who is a 6, but her character is great, than be with an 8, but her character is horrible. So
You
there's
know,
more than
it just
one.
doesn't resonate with me to call human beings numbers. I'm sorry. And it catches me up each time because I feel that I think it's inappropriate to give any human being a number. Now, if you say, a person is attractive or unattractive to me, that's one thing. But a number is finite. A number is a scientific scale that exists that is irrefutable. You can't really give a thing a number if it like 5 inches, or you're in the UK, so we'll say centimeters. 5 centimeters is a thing. If you go over here, 5 centimeters is 5 centimeters. You go over there, 5 centimeters is 5 centimeters. You don't have, well, 5 centimeters is really 7 centimeters over here, but it's 4 centimeters. No, a number, a numerical
No,
value is a thing that cannot be changed.
it can. So what we do is we take people take surveys all the time. How satisfied are you on a scale of 1 to 10? You tick a number. We use these to gauge people's personal opinion all the
Mm.
time. Personal opinions are not scientific. They're not. And that's why when you said earlier that this isn't necessarily a scientific method, I agreed with you because to a certain extent, attraction is subjective. It's subjective. So what I might think is an 8, you might look at him and say, no, I don't agree. I think he's
Yeah,
a 5.
the
It's
issue is
subjective.
the issue is the number. The issue is the number. Anyway, I don't want to get caught up on that. We appreciate you calling in and giving your point of view and helping us understand a little bit more. I feel like we got a little too caught up on the whole numerical thing instead of really truly understanding
Hmm.
what's going on out there in England. Hopefully we'll get a chance to broach the topic and the conversation again because the call has gone on for 29 minutes. So this is the longest
Oh,
call so
wow.
far. So thank you so much.
That went super
We
quick.
thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, bye.
It was wonderful being able to get some of your point of view. Thank you.